Hi, I'm Rico Correia, and welcome to another episode of Motivational Mondays. You know, over the last few weeks, we've talked about how you can succeed at your job or in the workplace. We've talked about actions and behaviors that we should avoid. Today, our episode is preventing sexual harassment in the workplace. Sexual harassment. It's interesting, as I go all over the country and talk to thousands and thousands of employees, everyone seems to have a little different interpretation of what sexual harassment is. We know what it is when we see it, but having the definition is a little different. What I'd like to do is to give you a definition of sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is 4 things. If you remember what these 4 are, then it makes the definition and your perception of whether the action is or isn't sexual harassment much easier. First of all, it is an action or behavior. It is not a thought. In reality, if it were a thought, many of us would probably be doing 200 years in Rikers Island by the things that we think. But it is an action, not a thought. It is of a sexual nature. An action or behavior of a sexual nature having an offensive or creating an offensive attitude. Okay. An action or behavior, unwanted and unwelcomed, of a sexual nature, creating an offensive or unreasonable result. That's sexual harassment. It can be in pictures, it can be in slurs, it can be in jokes, it can be in stories, it can be in innuendos. You see, many times we think of sexual harassment as actually grabbing or touching someone. That is a form, but it's also a form to be cursing in front of someone, or to be making sexual jokes, or to be making sexually related innuendos. What's important is no one should have to put up with sexual harassment in the workplace. Many times I get asked, what's the best way to prevent sexual harassment? Well, I always have 2 answers. The first is education. Actually know what it is, know what it isn't, and know what one should or should not do about it. Secondly, don't be a perpetrator. Don't be the person who is the sexual harasser at work. Don't be the person who's making the jokes and stories, who's offensive with their language and their actions and their deeds. Don't be that person. That's the easiest way to prevent it. Secondly, don't be the person who puts up with it. If you feel uncomfortable in the workplace because of actions and behaviors of others, if you feel offended because of sexual innuendo, do not let it stand. The one thing I say to folks all the time is don't do nothing. Do something about it. What should you do? First, if you can talk directly to the person, tell them directly that you do not like what just went on, that you're offended by it, and that you want it to stop, very directly and very succinctly. Sometimes, however, you're not in a position where you can do that. Say the offender is your boss or your supervisor. Make sure you tell someone. Tell that person's boss. Tell human resources. Tell someone in the company that this is going on and that you want it to stop. Be very direct about that. Who should you not tell? Don't tell your coworkers. Don't go home and tell your friends and your family. At the end of the day, they can't do anything about it. Talk to someone in authority. Tell them that you are feeling sexually harassed and that you want it to stop. And by company policy and by law, they are mandated to do something about it. Sexual harassment is the ultimate form of disrespect. Don't disrespect others, and certainly don't allow others to disrespect you. Do something about it, say something about it. Don't be a perpetrator. Thank you for joining us on Motivational Monday.